My name is Olivia Parker. I am 29 years old, and 2 days before Christmas, I stepped off a 10-hour travel day from New York straight into the dumbest ambush my family has ever tried to pull on me. I barely had my suitcase up the front steps when my mom yanked open the door. No hello, no you made it, just a flat rehearsed line. You'll babysit your sister's kids. We're going on a family trip. She was already turning away like the decision had been made weeks ago, and I was just another piece of luggage being dropped where it belonged. My sister Jenna appeared in the hallway, juggling 4 kids in little puffy jackets, cheeks flushed, eyes wild with pre-vacation hype. She grinned and said, loud enough for the whole block to hear, "Don't wipe your snot on her, kids." They giggled and actually leaned in to smear their faces on my coat while my mom, Karen, laughed like it was peak comedy. 10 hours of airports and recycled air, thousands of dollars in last-minute tickets and gifts, and I was the punchline. I didn't step fully inside. I stood on the threshold, hand still on my suitcase handle, and felt that familiar switch flip in my chest. The one that comes right before I pay for something they cannot afford or fix a problem I did not cause. Only this time, I had come prepared for a different role. I smiled, slow and small, and said, "You really should have checked your email before you said that." Karen's smile twitched. Jenna rolled her eyes. "Liv, don't start. We have a flight in 3 hours." What I actually said next was simple. "I'm not staying to babysit. And you might want to open your reservation app before you start loading the car." Karen blinked like I had spoken another language. Jenna let out a sharp little laugh, shoved a diaper bag into my arms, and said, "You're hilarious, Olivia. Guys, say hi to Aunt Liv. She's your Christmas present." 4 kids barreled into me. The 9-year-old, the 7-year-old, the 4-year-old, and a toddler on a hip. Sticky hands grabbing, winter boots kicking my shins. Behind them, Karen already had her rolling suitcase by the door, coat on, purse zipped like a celebrity heading to the airport. "Mom," I said, lowering my voice. "I didn't fly across the country to be your free nanny while you go to Breckenridge." She froze. "How do you know where we're going?" "You texted me the Airbnb link by accident instead of Jenna 2 weeks ago," I said. "And since the confirmation came through on the card with my name on it, I did what I always do when my card is involved." Jenna scoffed. "Checked every little thing like a control freak?" "No," I said. "I canceled it 3 days ago." For a full heartbeat, nobody breathed. Then Jenna fumbled for her phone, thumb flying over the Breckenridge Lodge app. I could see the screen reflected in her wide eyes. "Reservation canceled, refund processed." Karen stepped closer, voice dropping into that dangerous shaking register. "Olivia, tell me you're joking." I remembered every favor over the last 5 years. Refinancing their Phoenix house with my credit because theirs was destroyed. Putting utilities in my name for what was supposed to be a couple of months. Covering Jenna's rent because daycare was expensive. Paying for groceries from New York at 2 in the morning so my nieces and nephews would not eat ramen again. Wiring money last spring instead of taking a trip with friends because Karen had called crying about the mortgage. All those quiet helps that added up to me silently funding their entire life while I lived like a grad student in Manhattan. "You didn't read the last few statements, did you?" I asked. "I've been paying that card off. Along with the house, the power, the internet, Jenna's minivan payment. You gave me the login. You signed everything over because I was the responsible one. So no, I'm not joking. I took my name off your vacation." The 7-year-old tugged my sleeve. "Are we not going to the snow, Aunt Liv?" Their little faces tilted up for answers they should have been getting from their mother, not from the walking wallet they called Aunt. "You're not going anywhere with me in charge," I said gently. Then I turned back to Jenna. "You never asked if I was okay missing work for a week, or if I wanted to fly out at all. You and Mom just decided I'd drop everything because my life must look flexible to you." Jenna threw her hands up. "See what you did? Why are you being so dramatic? It's 1 week, Liv. You fly first class all the time. You'll survive playing house with your nieces and nephews." "I don't fly first class," I said. "I fly economy." "Then I send the upgrade money to you." Karen hissed. "You can't just cancel our trip, Olivia. We already checked in. The flights, the lift tickets." "About those flights," I interrupted. "You'll want to check your airline app too. Jenna tapped furiously, then went still. Why does it say these credits are in the name Olivia Parker? She whispered. Because I paid for them, I said. And because I'm done being the default option. I didn't come here to babysit. I came here to stop. Karen's face went white, then red. Before she could finish whatever she had started to say, the doorbell rang. A calm, precise chime that cut through the chaos. Jenna frowned. Who the hell is that? We're not expecting anyone. You're not, I said, sliding the diaper bag back into Jenna's stunned hands. I am. Karen swung the door open with the brittle politeness she saves for strangers, and there stood a woman in her early 40s. Dark blazer over jeans, state-issued badge on a lanyard, clipboard tucked under one arm. Good afternoon. I'm Sarah Miller with Child Protective Services. We spoke on the phone about a follow-up visit. Karen actually took a step back. There must be some mistake. We didn't call. I did, I said. I'm Olivia, their aunt. I flew in from New York. Sarah's gaze swept over my suitcase, the cluster of kids half-zipped into coats, Karen's wheeled luggage, the chaos of half-packed bags and abandoned snacks on the floor. In one sweep, I watched her catalog the scene the way I had been cataloging my family my entire life. Is now still a good time? She asked smoothly. 3 weeks earlier, I had answered a glitchy FaceTime call from my firm's conference room late at night, stacks of contracts on the table, my brain fried. On their end, the camera was propped on a kitchen counter. 2 of the kids were in the backyard in t-shirts even though there was frost on the grass, one of them barefoot. The toddler was in a sagging diaper, wandering close to the pool gate that never properly latched. Jenna was on the porch with a glass of wine, scrolling her phone while one of the boys stood at the sliding glass door sobbing because his hands were red and numb. Can you get inside? I had asked him gently. Ask Mommy to put your coat on. He had pressed his wet face to the glass, leaving a streak. Jenna snapped, he's fine, Liv. They're building character. Anyway, can you send me $200 for Christmas outfits? I ended that call and stared at my own reflection in the black screen. An exhausted woman who moved heaven and earth for people who could not be bothered to zip a jacket. Then I pulled up the state hotline and made a report. Not because I thought my sister was a monster, but because the pattern was clear. The kids were afterthoughts whenever material comfort or her social life competed. I gave the dates, the screenshots, the texts where she bragged about free babysitting. CPS opened a quiet file and told me they would likely start with a home visit, no drama unless they saw a serious problem. They asked when both the kids and the caregivers would definitely be home. The holidays, I said. They'll all be there. Now, standing in the doorway with Sarah, my heart hammered against my ribs. Not from fear. From the adrenaline that hits when someone finally steps between you and a moving train you have been holding back with your bare hands. Sarah stepped inside. Her eyes took in the sink full of dishes crusted with last night's dinner, the half-empty wine bottles on the counter at noon, the space heater too close to a pile of laundry, the toddler with a sucker stuck to his hair. The house spoke fluently without any help from me. Karen jumped in. We were just leaving for the airport, so things are a little messy, but usually. Jenna snapped. Usually Olivia is here. She's always willing to help. She just picked today to have a meltdown. Sarah glanced at me. Do you live here full-time? No, I said. I live in New York. I'm an associate at a law firm. I pay their mortgage, their utilities, the car Jenna drives, and most of the groceries. I'm not the caregiver. I'm the funding. My voice didn't shake. It was flat and factual, the way I talk to a judge. I flew in because my mom begged me home for the holidays. She didn't mention this trip or childcare once. Sarah nodded slowly, scribbling something on her clipboard, then moved down the hall to see the children's rooms and the backyard. As she disappeared, the kids trailed after her like a little confused parade. Jenna turned on me the moment Sarah was out of earshot. You're sick. You called CPS on your own family. I met her glare, feeling something inside me finally harden instead of bend. No, I said. I called CPS for your kids. The air went heavy while Sarah's footsteps creaked overhead. Karen paced behind the couch, muttering that this would go on their record, that I was ruining everything. Jenna rounded on me again, eyes wild. You think you're some kind of hero because you pay a few bills? You don't have kids. You don't understand. Your life is brunch and emails and fancy shoes. Ours is diapers and homework and no sleep. You have all the free time and money. Of course you should help. That's literally your job as the successful one. The words hit like a slap, not because they were new, but because they were finally said out loud. That was the core belief under every guilt-trippy phone call, every passive-aggressive must-be-nice text. I let the silence stretch for 3 full seconds. Then I felt my mouth curve into something cold. You're right, I said softly. It has been my job, because I let it be. But jobs can be quit. Karen stopped pacing. Don't you dare talk like that after everything we did for you. Like letting me work 2 part-time jobs in high school while you spent my savings on a new SUV? I said, the calm cracking just slightly. Like pushing me to take out more student loans because lawyers make bank, then calling me ungrateful when I wouldn't open a credit card in your name? Or like this week, when you flew me out under the lie of family Christmas so I could be your unpaid nanny while you went to Colorado on my dime. Karen's face mottled. We were going to pay you something, she insisted weakly. Yeah? Before or after the lift tickets? Before or after the spa day you booked? Jenna stiffened. How would you even know that? I reached into my carry-on and pulled out a thin folder I had tucked there before boarding at JFK. This, I said, laying it on the coffee table, is every payment I have made for you in the last 3 years. Mortgage, electric, water, internet, car, even the streaming services so you could binge reality TV while telling me you couldn't afford shoes for the kids. Jenna snatched the top page. Her eyes skated over the numbers. 1,800, 600, 320, month after month after month. Her mouth opened and closed. This can't be right, she whispered. You make it look so bad. Numbers are neutral, I said. They just are what they are. Somewhere above us, a kid laughed at something Sarah had said, a bright and oblivious sound that cut across the tension like a bell. Karen seized on it. See? They're happy. They're fine. You blew this way out of proportion. Happy kids don't erase unpaid mortgages, I said. They don't erase unsafe choices. They don't erase the way you've turned me into an ATM with a pulse. Jenna's face twisted. You love throwing that word around. You know what you really are? Bitter. You couldn't find anyone to have kids with, so you punish me for having a family. That one landed in the softest part of me. The place where my quiet fear of ending up alone lives. I felt it flinch. And then I felt it burn away. There it is, I said, almost pleasantly. The line you've wanted to say for years. You don't have kids, so your life doesn't count. My voice dropped. Thank you for finally being honest. It makes this next part so much easier. Her bravado faltered. What next part? I didn't just cancel your trip, I said. 3 weeks ago, I stopped the automatic mortgage payments. Your lender sent a very polite letter to this address, which I'm guessing is still unopened on the kitchen counter under that pile of coupons. They'll give you a grace period. Then the late fees start. A few months from now, if no one pays, the notices get less polite. Karen staggered back a step. You wouldn't do that to your own parents. I already did, I said. Yesterday, I went to my bank and signed the paperwork to remove my name from your loan. If you want to keep this house, you'll have to qualify on your own credit. That's fraud, Jenna spat. No. It's called no longer co-signing. Look it up. Jenna was shaking now. The van. You co-signed for the van. The kids need. I reported the missed payments this morning, I cut in. The repo company will come at the end of the month unless someone brings the account current. They will not be calling me. Karen's hand flew to her mouth. The power. The water. Olivia, you wouldn't. The auto pay's gone, I said. Next week, if you don't put a card in your name on those accounts, the lights go off. No more streaming, no more late-night shopping, no more FaceTime calls asking for just a little help until Friday. Karen's voice cracked. Please, she whispered. No. Before anyone else could speak, footsteps sounded on the stairs. Sarah appeared, the 4 kids trailing behind her, calmer now, their curious eyes bouncing between the adults. Thank you for your time, she said. I've done an initial walkthrough. I'm leaving you with a checklist of safety concerns. Outlets that need covers, the pool gate that needs a proper latch, supervision issues that need addressing. This visit will go on file as a warning. I'll be back for a follow-up after the holidays. If things have improved, that'll be the end of it. If not, we'll have to look at other options. Jenna choked. Other options? Support services, parenting classes. In extreme cases, placement with relatives or foster care. We're nowhere near that yet. But this is not a joke. Sarah handed Karen a stapled packet, gave a measured look around the room, and walked to the door. As it clicked shut behind her, the last thin layer of pretense in that house went with it. Karen rounded on me. You have humiliated this family. You think your fancy New York job makes you better than us? You think you can walk in here and tear our lives apart because you're having a tantrum? I picked up my folder from the coffee table and slid it back into my bag. I didn't tear anything apart, I said. I just stopped taping it together so you wouldn't have to see the cracks. The front door opened again. My dad, Tom, stepped in with car keys in hand, sunglasses still on like he was mid-vacation already. He took in Jenna's blotchy face, Karen clutching the CPS checklist, my suitcase still parked in the entryway. We're going to miss our flight. We're not going anywhere, Jenna snapped. Olivia canceled everything and called CPS on us. His head swiveled toward me, fists clenching. I remembered the voicemail he had left me last month when I told him I could not cover their property tax again. The way he had snarled, after everything we sacrificed for you, you can't even do this one thing. The resort is canceled. The flights are in my name. CPS just left. And I've taken my name off your financial mess, I said. All of that is true. He stepped closer, crowding into my space the way he used to when I was 16 and dared to push back. We raised you, he growled. We kept a roof over your head, food in your mouth. And this is how you repay us. You kept a roof over my head until I was old enough to keep a roof over yours, I said. Then you handed me the bills and called it family teamwork. Karen jabbed a finger at my chest. You're the oldest. That means something. It means you step up when family needs you. Your sister has 4 kids. Your father's back is ruined. My health isn't what it used to be. You don't get to opt out because you're tired. Something in me went very still. No, I said. It was my responsibility when I was a kid and had no choice. It was my responsibility when I was drowning in law school debt and still wiring you money because I could not stand the thought of the kids sitting in the dark. But I'm an adult now. I get to decide what I'm responsible for. And I am choosing myself. Jenna scoffed. You're not choosing yourself. You're choosing revenge. I looked at her, really looked at the dark circles under her eyes, the way her hand trembled on the CPS checklist. Revenge would be calling Sarah back and telling her to take the kids today, I said. Revenge would be reporting every lie you've told on your benefits applications, every time you worked under the table and still collected aid. All I've done so far is step back and let your own choices catch up to you. Dad's face darkened. You wouldn't dare. We need that help. We're entitled to it. You're entitled to exactly what the program says you are, I replied. And that's up to them to figure out. 3 months earlier, I had filled out a form and attached scanned copies of checks and bank statements with careful, clinical language. Concern about misuse of funds in a multi-adult household with dependent children. I had not hit submit out of anger. I had done it out of exhaustion. Tom stared at me like he did not recognize me. Where are you even staying? Here? After what you've done? I had keys to my new condo in my pocket, still shiny from the locksmith. I had closed on it 6 weeks earlier, scraping together a down payment from the crumbs left after everyone else's emergencies. I had not told a soul. The last time I mentioned maybe buying a place, Karen had immediately asked if there would be a guest room for when we need a break. I was going to crash here a couple nights, I said. My furniture gets delivered Monday. His lip curled. Absolutely not. You don't get to burn the house down and then sleep in the ashes. I glanced at Karen, half expecting her to protest, to say she was still my mother. She said nothing. Jenna's eyes were fixed on the floor. It was all so clear it was almost funny. As long as I paid, I belonged. The second I stopped, I was disposable. Got it, I said. No yelling, no tears. I grabbed my suitcase handle and rolled it back over the threshold I had never fully crossed. At the door, I paused and looked back at the 3 of them, huddled around a crumpled checklist and a canceled vacation like survivors of a storm they had insisted was never coming. You're right about one thing, I said. I am the oldest. And for the first time in my life, I'm going to show you what it looks like when I make decisions for me. Then I stepped out into the bright Arizona sun and pulled the door shut behind me. My new condo in Manhattan was the opposite of that Phoenix house in every way that mattered. Small, but entirely mine. Quiet. Paid for with my own signature instead of someone else's crisis. When I unlocked it that night, the place still smelled like fresh paint and cardboard. No family photos. No stacks of unopened bills with my name on them. I dropped my bag in the bedroom, sat on the bare mattress, and just listened to the silence. No TV blaring kids shows, no toddler crying, no phone vibrating with emergency call me texts. For the first time in years, the only person I had to take care of was me. The next morning, I made bad drip coffee in a brand new machine and watched the city crawl awake from my 10th floor window. Around 11, my screen lit up with a name I never expected to see there voluntarily. Jenna. I let it buzz for a full minute. Then I answered. Don't hang up, she said immediately, voice small in a way I had never heard. I'm not calling to yell. Okay, you've got 5 minutes. She let out a shaky breath. I'm sorry. For everything. For the way we ambushed you. For Mom's "you're the oldest" speech. For that disgusting thing I said about you not having kids. She trailed off. In the background, I could hear cartoons and the clink of dishes, not the echo of an airport. We didn't go anywhere, she said quietly. The kids cried for an hour. Mom's in her room with a migraine. Dad's been on the phone trying to get a friend to undo what you did with the mortgage. Apparently, that's not how it works. Why are you really calling, Jenna? Because Sarah called back. She's scheduling our follow-up sooner than she thought. Because of some additional information that came across her desk. She hesitated. She mentioned an audit. Of Mom and Dad's benefits. The disability, the housing vouchers. She said they'll be reviewing whether we've been honest about everyone's income and who actually lives here. And have you? I asked. Silence. Then, mostly. Which meant no. I know we've leaned on you too much, she continued. I told Mom last night. We can't just expect you to catch us every time. I'm looking for a job. At a daycare, actually. They need someone after the new year. I'm trying. There it was again. That tiny part of me that still wanted to fix things, to say I'd cover her until the first paycheck arrived. I strangled it. Good, I said instead. You should have done that 3 years ago. She sniffed. I know. I just needed you to know I heard you. And I'm scared. They took Dad's car this morning. Right out of the driveway. The kids watched. She exhaled hard. This is the first time anything real has happened because we didn't listen. Mom keeps saying it's all your fault. But I know that's not true. We did this. I stared out at the slush-covered street below. You didn't put me anywhere, I said slowly. I walked into it. Over and over. I wired the money. I answered the calls. I flew home when Mom cried. I canceled dates and vacations and sleep for you. That's on me. This, I looked around at my empty condo, is me finally stepping out of that role. So what now? Jenna whispered. We're just cut off? What now is you figure it out, I said. You and Mom and Dad decide whether you're going to fix this or let it fall apart. You parent your kids. You work. You talk to the caseworkers. You live within what you actually have, not what you can squeeze out of me. I paused. I'm not calling CPS back to ask them to go easy. I'm not calling the bank to put my name back on anything. Those days are over. Jenna was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was steadier. Okay. I hate it. I hate you a little bit right now, if I'm honest. But I get it. She swallowed. If I send you a picture of the kids, will you at least look at it? That somehow hurt more than any accusation had. Yeah, I said softly. I'll look. After we hung up, my phone buzzed again almost immediately with an unknown Arizona number. I let it go to voicemail. When I played it back, my dad's voice filled the room, low and cold. If you think this is over, you're dumber than I thought. You want to embarrass this family? Go ahead. But you don't get to walk away clean. You'll see. He hung up without another word. I sat there listening to that threat dissolve into digital silence, and instead of fear, I felt clarity. Dad was not used to losing control. Cutting off my money meant he could not use me as his personal disaster fund anymore, and that terrified him. I opened my laptop, logged into my bank accounts, and with a few deliberate clicks canceled the last 3 recurring transfers. Groceries, cell phone plan, the miscellaneous fund I had set up for Jenna's emergencies that had somehow turned into her fun money. Then I pulled up an email from a housing investigator I had been ignoring for a week, asking for additional documentation. I attached the scanned folder of payments, hit send, and sat back. By late January, the dust had settled just enough for me to see the shape of my new life. My condo had furniture now. A couch I had picked because I liked it, not because it was on clearance. A bed frame that did not wobble. A small dining table with exactly 2 chairs because I did not need more. I woke up to my own alarm instead of a 6 in the morning crisis call. My savings account, for the first time ever, stayed the same for an entire month. In Phoenix, everything was coming due at once. The benefits office had sent Karen and Tom a letter. Jenna texted me a photo of it late one night with a single word underneath. Why? I did not answer. The next image she sent, a week later, was of their driveway. No van, no sedan. Just oil stains on the concrete. Beneath it she wrote, "They took both." I put my phone face down and went back to highlighting a contract. A few days after that, a small envelope with no return address showed up in my mailbox. The handwriting was painfully familiar, the loopy cursive that had signed every permission slip and birthday card when I was a kid. My mom's. Inside was a check for $300 and a note on lined paper. "We're doing what we can. I know it's not enough." I did not cash it. I slid it into a drawer with my passport and my condo deed. A tangible maybe in a box of definite. In early March, an email from Sarah Miller arrived. She thanked me for my cooperation, then outlined the results of the review in cool, bureaucratic language. Some benefits adjusted, others suspended pending repayment. Mandatory parenting classes for Jenna. Unannounced home visits scheduled for the next 6 months. The children remained in the home. There was room for improvement, but initial positive changes had been observed. Her closing line read simply, "Your report likely prevented things from getting worse. Take care of yourself." 2 days later, Jenna emailed me a photo of the kids standing proudly in front of a small worn apartment complex, each of them holding a key on a colorful plastic ring. The caption read, "Our own place. Tiny but ours. Thank you, even if you hate me." I stared at their faces. The missing front tooth. The crooked ponytail. The way the oldest stood slightly in front of the others like he had appointed himself their shield. I felt something unclench in my chest. I let a couple of weeks pass. Let my own reaction settle. Then one evening, as snow drifted past my window in lazy spirals, I snapped a picture of the Manhattan skyline from my living room and typed back, "No hate. Just boundaries." That was it. No heart emoji. No love you. No promise to visit soon. Just a line drawn clearly between their lives and mine. Karen has not called. Tom has not apologized. Men like him don't. They wait for the world to bend back toward them, for the person who finally said no to eventually soften and say, "Fine, just this once." But I don't bend anymore. One night, sitting on my couch with a mug of tea, I realized I was laughing. Not at a show or a text. Just at nothing. At the absurdity of how quiet my life had become. There was no dread in my chest when my phone lit up, because half the people who used to drain me didn't have the new number. There were no surprise overdraft alerts, because someone else's emergency had eaten my rent. There was just space. Room to breathe. Room to think about what I actually wanted. Trips I might take. Hobbies I might pick up. Maybe one day a family built on choice instead of obligation. People love to talk about loyalty, about blood and duty, and we're all we've got. But here's the question that keeps circling back to me when I think about that Arizona doorway. What happens when the person you have always treated as the backup plan, the safety net, the one who will always say yes, finally walks away and does not come back?